Hi guys, it's Ellie and Mark Baldwin with Sunways Assisted Living Concierge, and this week we're talking about working with your spouse. Mark and I have worked together in some capacity in the same exact office, side by side, every single day for coming up on 11 years. So obviously we're doing something right. We haven't killed each other yet. So we're giving you 4 tips on how we make it work day to day. So kick it off.
One of the biggest parts is, I guess we'll call staying in your lane. Obviously, we all have strengths and weaknesses. Ellie and I are almost like a yin and a yang. One of the hardest parts, but most rewarding parts of starting Sunways was to take an honest look at what we're good at, the things we're not. We balance each other very well. We pick up the slack in the areas of where one of us is a little bit weaker. On one hand, while Ellie excels in networking, social media, face-to-face meetings, she's much more of an alpha, I guess you'd say. Where I, tend to, be a little bit stronger, like in the short-term strategy, operations, financing, and as Ellie says, kind of taking dreams and giving them some achievable steps, if you will. Staying in your lane can mean different things to different people. But I certainly kind of stay in mine and she stays in hers.
Yeah.
I don't micromanage. She does a lot of the social media. I don't micromanage that. And she doesn't micromanage what I do as far as what I excel on my end. We respect each other's roles and just play to our strengths, basically.
Absolutely. And give the other one the flexibility to actually do what they do best. So that's super important. Number 2 is, would you talk to a coworker that way? And this is something that we need to keep each other in check with every once in a while. But if you wouldn't talk to a coworker that way, don't be speaking to your spouse that way. And that should just be like all the time, not just when you work together, obviously. And it seems like a very simple thing, but it's really easy when you live together, work together, to have business conversations kind of go into the gray, into the personal side. I made a joke on the blog about, having a conversation about the marketing flyer, and all of a sudden it ends with yelling about who emptied the dishwasher last. Don't let it happen. If you wouldn't talk to a coworker that way, don't talk to your spouse that way. So that's number 2. Number 3.
Got to have space. We work together. We live together. Obviously, we're together 24/7. Luckily, we love each other. It's great. I couldn't imagine myself 15, 20 years ago being in this situation. So we're very, very grateful. But that being said, we need time to ourselves. We usually give ourselves at least once a week, if not twice sometimes, to get out, whether it's a networking event, going to happy hour, going to have dinner with a friend, just being able to breathe a little bit outside the house, outside the business, outside the marriage. And that's been key. That's been a big key to why we've been so successful in our marriage and our business.
Yep. Totally. And number 4 is taking that side and letting the pendulum kind of swing the other side. And that is putting time aside to dream together. It's so easy to get caught up in kind of like that day-to-day routine of not only the business, but also your marriage, right? And so something that Mark and I do, we try to do weekly, but definitely monthly, is to just have some time together to dream, talk about what our goals are. Where do we want to be in 5 years? Talk about the dream house, the dream vacations, what this business is going to look like, what our lives are going to look like. Usually there's a glass or 2 of wine involved. I say that that's also important. That might be tip 5 that I left out, wine. But I think it's really, really important to not only reconnect as people, but also remind you what you're playing for, both in your marriage and your business, and has really helped bridge that gap between the short-term vision and the long-term vision.
I was going to say the same thing. Talk about the immediate future and talk about what we're really planning for in the long run.
Absolutely. So those are our 4 tips. Hopefully that helps. We want to know whether or not you could ever work with your significant other, or if you do now and you have some tips that we didn't talk about. So please comment or DM or reach out to us so that we know. And maybe it'll help us along too. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.